like, was it where they take the leap? Is it the Wizard of Oz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Toby Stupid Vlog.
So guess where we are again. Steve is old. We're in Richmond because it is really, really warm, despite being March, and the rugby is on in Twickenham, so it's kind of chaos here. And that appears to be team coach of some variety, police escort. I'm guessing it's Wales by what it says on the front. Pretty settled. Check out how crazy it is. Bear in mind, second weekend in March. Traditionally, it's usually snowy at this point. It's the view from the top of Richmond Hill today. Perfect summer's day in March. That is the church spire that you can see when you stand on the bridge in Kew. And this is Richmond Park. You know how in most of Europe, like a heat wave is when it's 30 degrees plus for a month. Well, in Britain, the good news is a heat wave is it's over 15 degrees for 2 days in March. So welcome to a heat wave. Yeah, it's ongoing. The bloke in M&S, one of the guys who works there, just begged to buy my Ghostbusters top off me. I refused, I'm afraid. So, you know, that's a nice way to start the day, isn't it? Hi. After this morning's fun with my hoodie and people attempting to buy it off me, which is a bit odd, I thought I'd give you a bit of a catch-up. It's been quite pleasant today, but I've been a bit too busy to actually go out and about. It's clouded over a bit now, so plus nearly 4 o'clock, and I've been baking this afternoon. A bit following on from last week's global malarkey. I've spoken to a few colleagues of mine since, and a theme seems to have developed. Let's put it that way. Off the top of my head, I can think of a dozen, and that's not an exaggeration, a dozen people who have either been made redundant from global in a reasonably shitty way, if I'm honest, or have left because they didn't want to ever hit that wall and they felt that their working conditions weren't satisfactory to them. And that seems like a remarkably high number. And in the last week or so, there has been a number of people who've been affected in that way. And it strikes me that Friday's situation, unfortunate though it was really more symptomatic of the reasons why I left in the first place. And I'm beginning to rethink whether it is that is a company that I want to continue to do business with. I think that's the best way of putting it. It's the only place that, even when I'm not there, still makes me angry. And that's ridiculous, really, isn't it? And I don't think that they've sorted out their cultural problems, which have been pretty poor in the last 2 or 3 years. And it's a shame because I still have friends that work there. But increasingly, I have an ever-increasing number of friends who used to work there. And if it was 1 or 2 people, you would say, well, that's natural. And there are a few people who've left of their own accord to do better things, and there's no ill will. There's absolutely. But in my experience, they're outnumbered at least 2 to 1 by people who have the opposite feeling. And that's very sad. because I think it could be an amazing place to work. It has physically it has all of the infrastructure it needs, and it has the will. It just does not have the way, and that's really sad. And I think that's a governance issue, and it won't be fixed in the short term with the existing governance arrangements that they have. So there we go. That's kind of, without screaming and shouting, that's kind of got it off my chest as best I can, I think. And it's very unfortunate. I don't think it's unique in the world by any stretch of the imagination. I think media is particularly poor in that sense. But when you venture outside of media in the real world, you very quickly see that that's no way to run a business, and it's no way to treat your employees. And that's sad, frankly. And that's all I have to say. Hello there, fine people of the internet. So I realised yesterday was a bit of a moan-a-thon. Sorry, that's just how I feel. I'm just being honest. Today, don't want to bring the mood down or anything, but one of the big news stories today is that Bob Crow, the General Secretary of the RMT, General Workers Union, has died of heart attack, age 52. And obviously that's very sad. No one should die that young. I'm not a big fan of his, never have been. So I'm not going to suddenly turn into a sort of gushing praise for how wonderful I think he is. I don't. He's obviously feels very passionately for what he believes in, but I honestly believe that he has made transport workers less popular with the general public. Has made them essentially the source of frustration for your average Londoner. So I think he's done them a huge disservice. That said, he obviously believed the opposite, or else he wouldn't have continued to do it. I'm not a big fan of the bosses of unions. I think that a lot of them, their main concern is to maintain their position of power. They're no different to the bosses of a large company, really, in any sense, except they have some sort of moral duty, apparently. So it's still very sad that he's passed away. Do I think that things will be any different? Probably not. I can't imagine the next General Secretary will turn up and be like, you know what? I think striking's a really bad idea. I think we should negotiate. So I think for the average Londoner it won't have any impact, but obviously it's very sad for his family. So there we go. We're going to be upbeat from now on. We're going to talk about happy things, and we're going to go out in an hour or so and enjoy the sun. So feel good. Check out that for local sea of daffodils. They're pretty much right aside. And the blossom in the background. See, it's lovely and springy. I was just watching a couple of vlogs from 3 years ago, in fact. And this time 3 years ago, spring had just begun. The flowers had only just started. Of course, here it's been going on for like 3 weeks, which is a bit crazy. I don't know if I've shown you this before, but this is the very nice road that leads to Victoria Gate. Lots of very expensive houses. They're about 2 million each. And there's a bloke up here on the right, and you'll see in a minute. Now, he used to own a bright green, sort of lime green Lamborghini, but for whatever reason, he got bored and sold it and bought this instead. The bright red Lamborghini, obviously. That's good, isn't it? Again, quite early, but very impressive. It's actually very pleasant this afternoon. Has brightened up a bit. And look at these seas of blue. They're just popping up here. Fantastic. Much calmer, happierness than was going on earlier. Breathe it in. That's better. Now that was amazing. You don't often get to go in a glass house and there's nobody there. 0 people. bit windy, excuse me. Incredible. I suppose that's what happens when it's 10 minutes before closing. Still, one of the many benefits of working from home.
I don't think we've ever come in here, have we? This is a very awesome office, theoretically, with a table and chairs and, you know, sun and everything. It's my conservatory away from home. I should come here with a laptop. Logs that as thought for later. Yes, wall ducks. Very odd. There's a whole river there, but no, they'd rather sit on the wall. Fine.
Hello, it's Wednesday morning. It's a lovely, beautiful day. 14 degrees, getting warmer. The sun is out, and so I'm going to do some work in the gardens, because that's how it should be. That's how it was last summer, and that's how it shall be again. Got a bit of video work to do for Adam and Tom, so that's quite cool. And Crystal is having a day off. She is doing afternoon tea with her mum, so she's out this afternoon, so I figured I should make the most of it and get out of the flat. I'm sorry, I just read a sign that said Burger King do a chicken nugget burger.
So what do you think about my new office? I've upgraded from the last one. This one's actually indoors. It is still technically a botanical garden, but there's a roof over my head, and when it's, you know, sub 20 degrees outside, it's 20 degrees inside because it's a conservatory. It's nice, isn't it? I'm happy, and the rent is currently £0 per annum, so that's very beneficial.
So this is quite good. Internet facilities were a little lacking, if I'm honest. Can't believe I pay all of that, no money at all, which has left me with a couple of problems. But I've done a bit of video editing and I've done a bit of photo editing.
The only drawback I've discovered with this office is that the amount of foot traffic is quite high on a nice day. So let's go somewhere more secluded than the secluded garden. I'm sure I said this last year, but that light green that you get for spring leaves, one of the greatest things in the world. It only lasts for a couple of months when the leaves are really new, but it's awesome and ridiculous that we've got a couple of trees with it in March, to be honest.
Hi, it's shorts and t-shirt weather again, and the drain people are back there because drains are very blocked. Those two things are unrelated, I hasten to add. So I'm just nipping to M&S. I'm going to shoot an intro video today for my channel because it needs one to explain what the hell's going on. I'm going to shoot part of it. It's going to take a few more months to do it all. And I'm wearing my I Heart Switzerland t-shirt despite their obvious xenophobia. I heart the country of Switzerland, it should say, rather than the small-minded views of the people of Switzerland. Apologies if you are Swiss and voted against the absurd immigration measure. But clearly you're in a minority. I'm sorry. Not a lot you can do about that, really, is there? Anyway, beautiful day. So as soon as I've had lunch, back to the gardens, a bit more video editing to do in the sunshine.
It's another amazing day, so really have to be somewhere green when it's like this. And seeing as I live somewhere green, that's quite easy. It's really exceptional weather. You know, I keep saying it, but really this doesn't happen at this time of year. I just hope the weather's this good when I get to Italy. Did I mention I'm going on holiday? 2 weeks, 6 days, I'm not counting.
So I spend the afternoon working here in the glade because the weather's awesome, and I also wanted to shoot a little bit for my YouTube channel intro video, so I brought all the gear out with me. In fact, at one point today, shocking, there was somebody else in the glade as well on that bench there. Can you see the bench? Yes,
that one. There. Yeah, so, wow. Never mind. 2 benches, 2 people. All work quite well. So I've been doing a bit more video work. I hit one of those walls where you think, I know what I want it to do and I can't make it do it. So it's going to require a bit more thought, possibly tomorrow. Anyway, I'm off home now. Off for the evening commute on foot. Yes. And hopefully tomorrow will be nice weather as well, so it should be more outdoorsy stuff. Good morning, everybody. So it's Friday, which is awesome, and I don't have to go into Global, which is also awesome. So double awesome. Last night, Tony Benn died, the Labour politician, and second socialist in a week. Must be something in the water. Or something in the government, possibly. And so there's lots of tributes pouring in. All over Twitter, in fact, all over social media. The thing that slightly riles me is suddenly everyone's a socialist. They weren't yesterday, but now they're all quoting Tony Benn as if they've, been a massive fan of his forever. Which, and he was a very principled man. He is a good politician in so much as he lived by his principles, and he was true to himself. And I suppose that's quite unique in a way, especially in modern politics. I don't happen to agree with a vast majority of his views, but that's why he was so well liked, despite the fact that his positions weren't that well liked through and through. My only concern is that sometimes when this happens, people idealise the person rather than celebrate the reality of who they are. For example, Tony Benn was a wealthy, well-educated agnostic who believed that the United Kingdom should be well out of the EU. So in many ways, like an old Tory in that sense. And people seem to forget those things because they don't fit with the working class hero vibe that left-wing politicians are more known for, if as it were. I suppose that means he's probably got more in common with sort of modern Labour leadership, but he probably wouldn't like to admit that. The other thing is, not everything he did was awesome. Campaigning against the EU for a start is reasonably small-minded. He was supported Sinn Féin in the idea of reuniting Ireland, which goes against the principles of self-determination, by which the people should decide which country they're part of. And he was one of the principal people behind the closing down of pirate radio in the 60s. So not all those things are particularly wonderful, but then again, he did campaign to allow the Peerage Act of 63, which allows you to hand back your peerage, which he did. And he did a lot of good work on energy and the postal service when he was the minister there. But he was friends with Arthur Scargill, which I find reasonably unpleasant. And, every politician has good sides and a bad side. The problem is that people often forget the bad side conveniently at their death. But he was principled. He didn't change his mind on views. He was reasonably inflexible, which I don't like. He's an idealist, and I'm a more fan of pragmatists. People who understand the reality of the world, or accept the reality of the world instead of trying to bend it to their will. Which is, you might disagree, but I think politically, you will be more successful if you're more pragmatic. Whether that's good or bad, but it accepts the reality of human nature, whereas idealism doesn't. It's in denial. I used to be far more left-wing and far more idealistic, so who knows? But I'm a well-educated, wealthy agnostic, so maybe we've got more in common than you know. So there we go. Anyway, it's very sad that he passed away. He was 88 and he was very well loved, and he did some fantastic stuff with the Stop the War Coalition, which is excellent. But be realistic about your heroes. That's what I'm saying. So celebrate all of the things. Celebrate the fact that people are flawed, and that's a good thing, and that's what makes them more interesting. Anyway, again, beautiful day. Got to go outside. Stop talking about politics. Good day.
Right then, I've been doing more filming in the library. For my intro video. This is not going to be up soon because unfortunately I need to shoot at least one bit in Italy and possibly a bit in Switzerland as well. So probably won't be done until sort of August. So a new record slowness. Where's my... I'm going over to the gardens now to carry on editing. My minions have fallen over. It's a disaster. Where's my top?
If you've never tried working outside, then you haven't lived, to be honest. I know at school they used to let us do it every now and again if the weather was really good and we were equally good. But it's so nice just to be able to hear like the birds singing and the breeze and what have you. It's much more soothing than being stuck in a sort of sterile environment. Anyway, I'm out here, sending emails, editing videos and doing whatnot. Found a new location as well. It's nice, isn't it? There's, as always, no one. So it's no different from being a home in that sense.
This is probably the best news I've seen today. I've been complaining for a long time that Pagoda needs work, and now it's getting it. So, hurrah!
Anyway, that's all for this week. Another week of fantastic sunshine it has been. Join me next week because I hear the weather is going to continue to be good, so we should go out on Sunday at least. And what am I doing during the week? I have no idea. Hopefully this title card will tell you next.